Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Blip Pod.
Blip.
I'm Joey.
And I am also Joey. I've been cloned. Unfortunately, I had a horrible accident where my face was reconstructed. I got a new name, was birthed from a different mother, and is slightly younger. That being said, I'm Nolan.
Call me old. And today, on this episode, we will be discussing some future things about the MCU, specifically about the WandaVision series and Daredevil.
Very excited for both.
Woo, woo. Yeah, so we basically, within the past couple days, we just had some new updates about the show, WandaVision, and some good news about Daredevil with all the rights with Netflix and Marvel. But we will discuss that right after this. Alright there, so first thing we are going to talk about is the WandaVision series.
Yes.
It is officially done filming. It's done. Nothing left.
I was surprised. It makes total sense that they finished filming between Winter Soldier because, as the trailer suggests, it's in basically one location. Mm-hmm. Which is inside.
It seems like a lot of it's like a studio,
and specifically made to look like a studio.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I was surprised that they're like, oh, we finished, all shooting. We're basically done with, everything production. We're in post and we'll be done soon. I was like, you gotta imagine the people who do Falcon and Winter Soldier are probably in sweats hearing that. They're like, oh, we released 3, 4.
They're releasing before them and they're farther along.
They're like, oh yeah, it's like when you're in class and you're like, oh hey, how far along on you and your project? And they're like, oh, I finished last week. And you're like, I haven't started.
At Sophie.
Yeah.
We have 3 projects due. I'm just starting my first one. Oh, I finished all of them last week.
That's a good one. Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah. But, where was... I totally forget what we were talking about. I'm going to begin the dog for that one.
How the WandaVision series is done filming.
Yeah. Okay, so you can head this up. I'm obviously super excited and think that they can't go wrong with this.
No, definitely. I feel like this show is going to play a major part in the future of the MCU, especially how it's probably going to lead into entering the multiverse with Doctor Strange. So it is definitely probably the biggest one out of all the shows that have been announced to release. But the even more interesting thing is that they say they're done filming and they're in post-production, but they now just recently released a new casting of the actor who played Quicksilver in the old X-Men movies.
Evan Peters. Is this for like a part 2 sort of deal? I know we talked about this earlier. I haven't looked into all, so I'll obviously have to kind of dig through some more news this week as more information comes out. This is very preliminary. But I know we had talked, and you had said it's because this is less of a TV show and more of an installment in the MCU, they're not treating it like a TV show. They're treating it like a movie that's been spread out. So the likelihood of this getting a second season is kind of slim to none. At most, they're almost going to get like a sequel eventually.
Yeah, like, this is part of the MCU. It's basically just a timeline starting from Iron Man and just continuing on. It's not like a normal show where it's just about this show. This show wouldn't be a show without the MCU. It's basically just a point in the MCU that they're just giving their own show to tell a story to lead into the movies. So I don't think it's something that will come back to it and have its own story that won't be part of the MCU and just be part of that show to be brought back for another season.
It's not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, no. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like, that's basically, they have their own plots. They have some references and tie-ins to the MCU, but what happens in their season leads on to a next one. But this is just strictly for the MCU. So I really don't think any of these shows will have a second season. They might bring those characters back for maybe even a different Disney Plus show, but it's
Yes.
just all it's all depending on what direction they're going in.
My guess is,
the
and
MCU.
I think about this sometimes, where it's like, let's say Disney Plus hadn't become a thing, they'd still be making a Falcon and Winter Soldier movie. They'd still be making a Wanda movie, probably with Vision. Like, these are basically just extended movies that they were already going to make.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's the best way to treat it, is that these are just movies in the MCU that they broke up because they have a lot of information to tell and they don't want to waste time within a movie or cram so much information into a movie, so they could have time to spread it out within a series.
Especially with characters like Wanda and Vision and Cap and Bucky and Falcon. They're ones that all of them got introduced in a different movie. Like, they never have none of them have had their own solo movies or even been big players. Obviously, that's Wanda and Vision were big players in a lot of them, but none of them were kind of headliners in anything. So it makes sense.
Now they are.
Exactly. So it makes sense that they're giving them a little more screen time. So it's like...
Well, same with Hawkeye, too.
Yes, which totally makes sense, which is why he's getting his own show, and why... My guess is if the Black Widow movie didn't go through, she would have gotten something like this, too.
Maybe. I think this is a good idea, how they're starting it off with these characters that we already know, but didn't get the headliners and attention as they can. So I think this is they're kind of just like testing it out with the Disney Plus series, and they're introducing stuff for future MCU movies, and then in the future, especially how they announce like She-Hulk and other stuff, they're going to start using Disney Plus to just introduce new characters.
I think you're right. I think that they're going to eventually do, because I know, every time they start to PR a character, it's coming up in the comic books. So recently, obviously, there's been talk about the Moon Knight TV show and who's going to be on that. And then all of a sudden, Marvel's Instagram and Twitter, Marvel Comics Instagram and Twitter page is like, new Moon Knight comic book series, and here's 10 facts about Moon Knight you don't know, and the best Moon Knight costumes and moments. And I'm like, okay, they're clearly gearing up for something very big Moon Knight related in the movies, and they want to remind the comic book readers about it before that happens. Mm-hmm. So I think you're right. Here's my one worry with WandaVision. And again, this is one very small worry in a sea of what is generally going to be amazing things. I hope it still feels like, how the MCU movies have a very distinct feel. Mm-hmm. They look extremely cinematic. They're very colorful, and they utilize good kind of wide shots and good kind of saturation. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, from what we've seen, looks like a Marvel movie. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It looks like...
I definitely think that we don't need to worry about that, because they are shooting it as it is a movie production, and they want it, and it's gonna be an installation within their movie universe, so they want it to be just as good. WandaVision might not feel like that a little bit, just because it's meant to not feel like that.
Yes, that's also
like everything. It not feeling like that is intentional, because it's supposed to feel like you're in a different world in her mind as a sitcom, as it seems from the trailers.
That is true. I also have faith in Disney Plus, because, Mando feels like it's another Star Wars movie, even though it's obviously a much smaller production with a much smaller budget. But watching it, you're like, okay, if this had gotten released in theaters, it would still feel like I was watching, some installment of the existing franchise.
Of course.
So I don't have anything else much to say. You got anything else much to say on WandaVision in particular?
I guess I could go along the Quicksilver thing.
Yes.
So, I know I discussed this in the other episode, but just my opinion on, I do not think that he's gonna be Quicksilver, because they didn't even announce who he's playing. They're just saying he was casted. Mm-hmm. So that's why and we know her kids are in it, because you saw them in the trailer, carriage, or the cradle. So I honestly think he is going to be Speed, her son.
That I think that's the best way to do it if you make him a superhero
Mm-hmm.
character. There's also a chance he could be someone totally different. But I think you're right in the fact that if he's one of the kids, it's both, it's two things. It's a nice nod towards the existing X-Men franchise. It's
Mm-hmm.
a very good casting because we know he's good as a speedster. And it will be a
And,
cool look into the future.
well, and also if people do feel like they don't, or people don't like them taking from the other universe and it could be confusing, then this could have no effect on the future MCU because this is all in her head.
Exactly.
So anything that happens could, like, they're not real. So if it doesn't go well, then they don't need to bring him back in the future. He could just, he's gone, like it never happened. So I don't think there would be a problem with that.
Yeah, no. I think, and we've talked about this before, but if I think the one problem with bringing back the existing X-Men characters is that if they do, that leaves the door open for them to get Twitter comments until the end of time on whether or not they should bring back Hugh Jackman or like characters like that. Ian,
I hope I hope what they were discussing and like hope and like kind of hoping for with the rumors is that they do give Hugh Jackman and the actor that played Charles, I forget his name now.
James McAvoy.
Yeah, how they were saying in Doctor Strange when he's jumping through like multiverses, they give him a nod by having them have a cameo from the Logan movie. How they just kind of crossed through
Oh,
their
gotcha. So Patrick
multiverse.
Stewart. Okay.
So because everyone wants to see them in the MCU, but they don't want to sign long contracts. They kind of gave up the character and they had a good ending that they don't want to ruin. So this is a way to give fans a little taste of what they wanted and a salute to them without ruining their ending.
They could also even do something as simple as I don't know how much you know about Old Man Logan.
A little bit.
So
Yeah.
what it is in it's the existing Logan has died, and then this is kind of what the movie Logan was based off of. It's a different universe that's a little ahead of ours, where everything's gone to crap. So push comes to shove. Let's say they cast a new Wolverine who isn't Hugh Jackman. They go through the rigmarole. Let's say he doesn't work out. They could do what the comics did. Kill that Wolverine and then just bring in Hugh Jackman and have him as Old Man Logan from a different universe.
Yeah, I think that would work, especially how they're talking about the Spider-Verse thing too. Like your Tobey Maguire could possibly come back just for a little bit as an older version of Spider-Man. So I think they can do the same thing with Wolverine. Just, hey, Hugh Jackman saying, no, I'm too old for this. I don't want to sign a long contract. Well, you don't need to. We'll have a main Wolverine who's young, but then in a different, especially if they do Secret Wars, not Secret Wars, where you have it's basically a battle royale of all these multiverse of different
things
of the superheroes.
Together,
You could bring them just for that movie as Old Man Logan, and then you have the young Wolverine in it too. You know,
that's true.
That's the best opportunity to have an Avengers Endgame type of movie again.
Dude, I will have to say, all this speculation aside, if they ever do Secret Wars, I will lose my shit.
Well, and Russo brothers said if they come back, they would come back for a Secret Wars movie.
I don't know if you've ever... Pro tip if anyone watching, because I know it is available on Disney+. There's the 1990s Spider-Man TV show. Has basically a movie. It's like a 4 or 5 episode arc. It's like 20 episodes apiece, where the entire X-Men... most of the... I think the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, almost all the Spider-Man villains, and most of the Avengers do a Secret Wars movie. This is in the 90s.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
It is... Dude, I watched it like a year ago. That shit is crazy. It's so good. It might just be the nostalgia talking, so I'll probably watch it over the next couple days and then realize it's total... It's not garbage, but not as good as... But regardless, the idea of Secret Wars in the MCU would be mind-blowing.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to all that.
I think... what's the... Okay, so we have one more bit of Marvel news for this.
Yes.
Kind of shtick.
And that is the contract ending with Netflix for the rights of Daredevil.
I have many thoughts on this.
Fire away.
I think that we both very much like Charlie Cox as Daredevil. I don't. I think they're more likely to bring him in than they are an X-Men character.
Yeah, well, especially the way they've been talking in rumors, it seems like there is a good possibility, especially for the Spider-Man. Spider-Man's perfect opportunity to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just beginning writing the script for Spider-Man, and they know they're getting the character back, so they could put him in easily. It's not like they already had it all written out.
They could, yes, they could very easily do that. I think the only reason I think that this might not be going ahead is because they're only just getting him back, and they planned out all the MCU's been planned out for that. Like I think like the next 10 years of the MCU was planned out like 2 years ago. I think they said something crazy like that.
I think it can work. Like it's planned out but not written, and
That's true.
the plans definitely change out. I think it would work if they just don't give him a solo movie.
That's
If they just include him in movies or shows,
Mhm.
I think they'll find a way to make it work as long as they don't give him his own movie. I don't think it will disrupt anything.
That's true. Also, he's been with She-Hulk. He's been in with Moon Knight. That all literally Daredevil has come in contact with every single Disney Plus show that they're making.
Mhm.
They could even kind of Mark Ruffalo Hulk it, where he kind of pops in and out of movies and everyone likes him, and then just due to the nature of the thing, you don't have him ever star in one, but you don't really need to because also if he gets his own movie, the question's got to be asked like Daredevil's fantastic. But as compared to
Yeah.
the other Avengers, power level wise, meh. You know what I mean?
He's like it's like another Hawkeye, but I'd say he's even more powerful
Yeah, he's got
than Hawkeye. Well, I guess
heightened
close range.
senses, and
He's basically like a lower class Spider-Man.
and he's a different set. So like obviously he's more on the level of Batman in terms of dangerous because he's just been training for this his whole life, and he has to be the best to continue what he does. Obviously, he has the hearing thing, so his senses are heightened. But in terms of the Charlie Cox one, there's never been any indication that he's physically more than just a very powerful dude.
And also, putting him in the new Spider-Man movie, I think works a lot, mostly because of Spider-Man's situation needing a lawyer.
Exactly.
And also, they said that the Spider-Man movie is actually supposed to be dark, and he is a good character to put into that dark situation.
And also, as I was actually, weirdly enough, this is the second time this has come up, the 1990s Spider-Man cartoon, which is very... I'm just actually going to recommend this to you as well. The 1990s Spider-Man cartoon is basically a cartoon version of all the Spider-Man comics, slightly condensed with all the bad stuff cut out. So it's a very good watch if you kind of want a recap of all the comics since the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
They introduce Daredevil in that capacity where he meets Matt Murdock as a lawyer, and then like halfway through like this couple episode arc, he goes, "Holy crap, this guy is Daredevil."
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of cool stuff they could work with that. The only one thing that makes me not want to see Daredevil in Spider-Man is because you want to see Spider-Man on his own without any help. Because in both movies, he had someone looking out for him and someone to help out. And now, especially with him, the world looking at him as a murderer, I think this is a great way to really make Spider-Man go to increase his potential and really evolve his character and mature by actually being completely on his own with no help from anybody. So that would definitely be something cool to see.
Could also be like a Spider-Man, because obviously Kevin Feige wants to do Spider-Mans until the sun burns out, with very good reason. But this could also be like a Spider-Man 4 or 5 sort of deal, where maybe Spider-Man comes in contact with some version of Kingpin, and then Daredevil shows up to help him.
Mm-hmm. And also, every MCU movie signs a deal or partnership with a car company to sponsor their car in the movie, and Spider-Man 3 just signed with Honda, I believe it was.
Yeah, gotcha.
So that was kind of hinting to maybe some like high-tech car that he's been given either by Stark Industries or Shield to help him out, since he's going to be on the run a lot. So apparently this car is actually supposed to play a big role in the movie. So
dude, I would love I would love it so much if it played a big role in a different way, and it was like, let's say, hypothetically speaking, and there's been some rumblings of this, like, you know how the Sinister Six is most likely going to be assembled to take him down, hypothetically speaking. I would love if, like, the final fight takes place in, like, a Honda dealership, and they're like, Scorpion, stop throwing Hondas at me. Oh my god, it's a Honda Civic. Oh my god, it's another Honda Civic. Please stop.
Oh my god, that's my car.
It's my car. And it's just, the product placement is just so blatant. They're like, watch out. Man, that Honda Civic is well made. That almost killed Spider-Man. And I fought Thanos.
Not non-sponsored, though. Non-sponsored.
Not sponsored.
But yeah, no, that's... And also, I think Spider-Man could be... they might use Spider-Man to also introduce Blade, since Morbius is connecting with Spider-Man, it seems like, and Morbius can connect to Blade.
I'm just so excited for the next couple years of MCU. Mahershala Ali as Blade is going to be a knockout.
I love Mahershala Ali. He is such a good actor, and putting him in the MCU would be amazing. Especially when we've seen him in Luke Cage, and he's like the villain. You hate his character, but you just love him so much because he does such a good job.
The fact that I'm excited that he came to Marvel and was like, I want to be Blade, because he's first of all, the guy, I mean, he's an Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning actor. He's fantastic, just right off the bat. Yeah, so the fact that there's that, but also if he's that dedicated to that character, you know that it's going to be good, because there are going to be a lot of people that are actually dedicated to giving a good portrayal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, half the reason I think Spider-Man is as good as it is because Tom Holland loves Spider-Man. Same with Iron Man, same with Captain America, is because the actors want this to succeed, and they have a very specific idea and know what the characters would do. Dude, I'm starting to lose my voice over yelling about both Henry Cavill and Mahershala Ali. I'm like, I really want them in the MCU and the DCU, respectively.
Celebrity crushes.
Excuse me. As my girlfriend can attest, nobody beats Taika Waititi.
Well, yeah, we made a whole presentation on it for class.
Exactly. Do we got anything else MC related?
No, I think that's sums it all up.
Last small thing is that San Diego Comic-Con has been sort of canceled. It's actually all online and anyone can access it.
It ain't the same.
That being said, it is probably going to be one of the only times we get to watch all the stuff that happens at San Diego Comic-Con.
No, they're going to be inviting us to do panels.
That is true. We will eventually get invited to when we make Batman v Iron Man, Dawn of the Next Rebellion.
That's going to be the biggest movie ever when we have DC versus Marvel movie.
And then they go to space and happen to bump into the ghost of Luke Skywalker.
Directed by the Blip Bros.
It's directed by the Blip Bros, starring Daniel Radcliffe, reprising his role as Harry James Potter.
It's a crossover between Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Harry Potter.
What else can we throw in? Star Trek, maybe. We'll see the Enterprise going to zip by. Space Force. Steve Carell will just launch himself.
Space Force. We'll throw in Gravity Falls because in Rick and Morty.
Yeah, we'll throw in. We'll throw in Gravity Falls and Rick and Morty. Clearly, that is.
That's what I was saying. Because they're both connected and they go through that
a little portal thing,
connecting universe. Yeah,
dude. But so that being said, I'm excited to see. That's going to be. We've gone from very little to no information, and I have a feeling by the end of the summer, it's going to be the almighty information dump of all time.
Yeah.
I feel like come July, August, it's just going to be every day there's groundbreaking comic book or Star Wars related news at all times.
Just be they'll be like, hey, remember us? Yeah, you know how we were in quarantine for a couple months? Well, we got to thinking during that time, and this is what we got.
You're probably not wrong. They probably are just the amount of time. It's also an interesting possibility, the fact that it went from the executives have to continuously produce content, and now they have 4 months where they have to sit down and they might just come up with crazy new amazing ideas, and we're going to get some of the best content we've ever got in the next couple of years.
So we'll see what happens.
I'm excited. Okay, with that being said, that is our another episode of the Blip Pod in the books. Check us out on the Blip Pod on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and any social media platform you choose to use, even if we're not on it. If anyone wants to start the Blip Pod Tinder account, feel free.
It'll just be a picture of us drawn as DuckTales.
It'll be a picture. Oh my god, we'll get the ladies in really quick. Nothing. What's the quote, the Howard the Duck quote from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie?
Oh, I do not remember.
Ah, crap.
Oh.
It's something really funny, like, you gotta try your luck something if you gotta go duck. Regardless of weird, crass Howard the Ducks. That is another episode of the Blip Pod. Check us out on the Blip Pod for longer form content on YouTube, or the Blip Bros, and the same thing. I am, again, Joey's weirdly deformed clone.
And I'm Nolan's deformed clone.
We both. I
got messed up in the cloning process, so I talk like this.
See, I got messed up. I got messed up in the cloning process, so I talk like this. Hello, my name is Joey Harris.
I am your father.
Exactly. Nolan, I am your father. It's not possible.
I am your clone.
What actually, for any little backstory, what happened was, we actually, I'm a clone of Joey, and Joey was a clone of the original Nolan, and then they got so deformed that we just switched places and then called it a day. The original ones are dead in a ditch somewhere. They overdosed on too much Marvel content and pixie sticks and died. But we're doing good.
Sounds about right.
We've kicked the habit. Marvel. Oh, you can take Marvel. I'll take the pixie sticks. That being said, thank you for listening in. As always, stay nerdy
and positive.
And have a nice week. See you later, guys.